Hey guys, so I just wanted to do my reaction and review to The Gifted, Season 2, Episode 7, No Mercy. So there won't be any footage from this video given my frustration about um explicit not saving any it's not saving the reaction videos to my hard drive and YouTube blocking my videos in spite of trying to keep the footage I use from my reaction videos to a minimum. I just thought, you know what, maybe it's just best for my sake to just do a review, like more of a review of the episode. And I know you guys prefer my doing like straight up reactions, but between work, technical difficulties, and red tape from YouTube, it's like, please be patient with me and please be understanding about the fact that I can't always be successful in uploading these reactions to YouTube. And if you go to the description box and the video, it usually will have you can either go to my Instagram. If it's not on my Instagram account, then it'll be on my Stardust account. 30 seconds review, my 30-second mini reviews to all the shows that I usually review and watch, including Supergirl, The Walking Dead, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, The Flash, Black Lightning, and even this will be there. So please go check it out and support me on Stardust. Especially since my Flash video got blocked this week, so I can give you my you can go to there to get my thoughts on it without having to worry about being blocked by admins on social media. So anyway, season 7, it opens up with episode 7 opens up with a flashback to Reva Page, 8 years prior to present day in Chicago, trying to work with humans and having mutants and humans living in that in the metro area coexist. But her friend was saying how that human racists were trying to chase them out, and so it's like they need to chase them out beforehand, or else no mutants are going to have a place to stay in the Chicago metro area. She was kind of reluctant to get on board with that up until and this was mentioned to, I can't remember if it was either Andy or Lorna. I think this was Andy, about like, this is the flashback to the friend that she cared about, and she felt like she was being, Reva kicked herself for being, weak, giving the weakness that she ended up being killed by stabbed to death by mutant bigots. And it's kind of like, I mean, this cannot be this. I doubt this was the only event, but it's implied that it was one of the events that drove her to her more ruthless behavior. But then on the flip side, she, the text message she was sending to apparently a guy that she was on a date with, that she was apparently dating, and obviously developed feelings for. But at the same time, it's like she, as well as the rest of, she was using him to basically get into the bank and financial company that Esme was talking to Polaris about in last week's episode, about how they fund anti-mutant organizations and activities, including how the Frost sisters were clones and being used to further that evil doctor's biddings, before they 3 of them killed them at the even at the cost of 2 of the quintuplets' lives. And Reaper was legitimately conflicted, because she did develop feelings for this guy, but at the same time it's like she still didn't, it still didn't stop her from completing the Inner Circle's mission, that he was an asset that he needed to get into the bank and disable the anti-mutant detection system so they can get into the bank and disarm the guards. And we had Polaris, Twist, and Andy going down to the bank vault just for the Twist to turn it inside out and to have Reva's quote unquote boyfriend access their files so that they can basically just transfer all the money in the bank to the inner circle and basically just bleed the company dry. So then now they can't fund any anti-mutant activities. They have the Frost sisters using, I mean, basically Phoebe and Sophie to get using their telepathy to get a confession out of the bank manager to their shady activities. Esme actually ended up staying behind at Polaris's request to take care of Dawn, and I mean, it was foreshadowed because of, Twist and her attitude towards humans, and that, why are we sparing their lives? They're persecuting us, they're vilifying us, why should we keep them alive? And, Reva and everybody else was saying, they're not worth killing, we don't want to make martyrs out of them. But then when they locked them in that room before leaving, Twist decided to take it upon herself to use her powers to basically massacre the entire hostages, much to the horror of the rest of the inner circle, including Reva, who just, especially considering her boyfriend was basically killed as a result, and she was basically promising him and the rest of the hostages they can get back to their families as long as they got in and out, because they knew that they were just going to provide cannon fodder for the purifiers, or people, for example, who were convincing Jace Turner to meet up with this politician, this television reporter who I guess was also a politician, as he mentioned, played by Peter Gallagher, about exposing the Sentinel services for their shortcomings and how they and Jace was reluctant to go after them by name because he had friends and people he worked with there, but then they convinced him. He was convinced that none of his coworkers stood up for him after he quit Sentinel services, and because they were willing to make him a scapegoat for the botched operation in Atlanta. And learning about the bank robbery, he decided to go along with the Purifier's plans of telling his own story, but at the same time, trying to vilify and expose mutants in general, whether they were part of the inner circle or Mutant Underground. And speaking of Mutant Underground, they were trying to figure out how to deal with Reed, because in last week's episode, even though he managed to use his powers to help most of the mutants escape from an attack by the Purifiers, he still had even less control over his powers than before, to the point where he almost couldn't, he could barely, turn them off, and he kept disintegrating everything he touched. But there was a moment where Caitlin was able to, hold hands with Reed, and without the latter burning the former, and the Mutant Underground deciding to, putting reinforced metal and steel in an ambulance to get him to the now abandoned clinic that had him attacked by the Purifiers, or to get him some help. And they were trying to, and Caitlin convinced Reed to try to get assistance from his father's assistant Madeline, because granted, his dad tried to suppress his X gene, but they have both been doing enough research in the X gene, at least his own X gene, to she might be their best chance of helping Reed control his powers. And Eclipse becoming suspicious of Blink's Blink's connection with the Morlocks. She eventually confronted Thunderbird about it, and it says, you know what, you need to ask your girlfriend. I know she's a girlfriend, you care about her, but you need to ask her about the Morlocks. And then she admitted to helping telling them about mutants. There were the Mutant Underground was moving, and providing supplies to the Morlocks. And they didn't sit well with Thunderbird, Blink clearly justified the fact that the Morlocks were at least doing something, or at least was more successful in helping mutants than the mutant underground has been in the current state that there are now, and how she did it for um, John's sake, and she says like, what, I'm sorry you don't see it that way, and she's kind of right. It just seems like the mutant underground has not been getting much traction since or much progress in terms of like helping mutants to an extent since the events of the season one finale. I mean, them helping the mutant. They've been moving, helping fugitive mutants. Get out of DC and out of the country. Having new identities and lives. But in terms of trying to promote the peaceful coexistence, is like that's kind of felt fallen by the wayside. And the inner circle, even though they're playing the long game, they've been trying to make more progress in terms of like making the country and the world prosperous for mutants. But given the actions of Rebecca slash Twist, that I guess it kind of is a major setback at the point where I feel it seems like neither groups are in a great position to help or to help advocate for mutants at this point. That was a really good episode. I'm not surprised by Twist's actions, considering she was in a mental facility and tortured. And the former psychiatrist who worked there said that Rebecca killed her own parents. I mean, it was never specified as to whether or not whether the parents they tried to help Rebecca, or they were just being they basically persecuted and alienated her because of her abilities. If it's the former, then it makes the character less sympathetic and all the more sociopathic and kind of horrifying that the inner circle bit off more than they could chew by trying to recruit them to their side, and she's basically a loose cannon, and basically her actions basically provide cannon fodder for people like the Purifiers and make mutants look like the terrorists that they've been made out to be so thus far. So, and given Reva's willingness, I mean, I guess I was surprised that Reva was so horrified by this, but I guess partly because of her attachment to the banker she was dating, that's why, and also I guess the thing is that she's only willing to kill people who are either loose ends or challenge her, and or loose cannons, and not willing to follow her cause. So time will tell. So I guess we had to wait another 2 weeks to find out if Reva's going to deal with Twist in the same way, given that she went against her orders or not. But I just know from the previews is that because of the possible fallout from that whole operation, that Lorna is actually running to Marcos and deciding that Dawn's not safe with the inner circle, and that she's gonna leave her with Marcos, so she's no longer caught in the crossfire. But what else is gonna happen as a result of Twist's actions? We have to wait until not next week, but the week after, to see what the repercussions are. So, what do you guys think of the episode? What are your predictions for the Gifted? Do you think how do you think everybody's gonna deal with Rebecca's actions? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. And stay tuned next week for hopefully reaction videos to the other Marvel and DC shows.